Guess what? News from the White House here in Washington, D.C. strongly suggests that the 2.4 million illegal migrants who left America last year, 600,000 kicked out, the rest voluntarily left, has greatly improved the lives of Americans. Who would have thought, eh? Not least with lower housing costs and record low crime. Hello, I'm Ben Leo from The Late Show Live at GB News here in Washington, D.C. And this is GB News Originals. As I said, who would have thought, eh? Kicking out people who broke into your country illegally. You don't know who they are, where they're from, what their intentions are. Well, it could be a good thing. Britain, take note. Let's dive headfirst into what the US government is now hailing as a game changer. Mass deportations, well, they're not just working, they're completely transforming the American way of life for better. Plummeting crime rates, crashing housing costs, and a sigh of relief from hardworking families all across the continent. So for context, around 2.4 million illegal migrants left the USA last year under the Trump administration. That was in just 12 months. Something like 600,000 were forcibly removed by ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the guys you see on the news going around with the guns and arresting the illegals, while the rest voluntarily left before they were kicked out. So let's break it down, shall we? Let's start with crime, because the US government, under President Trump's no-nonsense administration, is touting the largest single-year drop in murders on record. Let me say that again. The largest single-year drop in murders on record in history. We're talking a national nosedive in murders that's got cities like Washington, D.C., where I am now, seeing a 60% drop year on year. Chicago, the fewest murders since 1965. And it's not just murders either. It's violent crime. Overall, tumbling like a house of cards.
There's nothing more important than keeping your money and your identity safe online. And with so many VPN options available, choosing the right one can be pretty daunting. But this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is making the choice easier for GB News viewers. ExpressVPN is offering up to 75% off, plus 4 extra months free. That's top-level security from just £2.49 a month, and you're covered by their 30-day money-back guarantee. So just click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code now. Remember, when you're online, you are often sharing personal data, so hackers can steal your information, your passwords, your photos, and your bank details in just seconds. But ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. So why choose ExpressVPN? Well, it couldn't be easier to use. With just one click, you are protected. And ExpressVPN uses military-grade AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard trusted by the US government to guard their classified information. With their new tiered plans, you can protect up to 14 devices at once and manage passwords securely. Live chat support is available 24/7, and it typically connects you in under a minute with a real person. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off ExpressVPN, plus 4 months extra for free. Start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN.
Now, the critics, you know the types, the Open Borders Brigade over at the likes of CNN, MSNBC, the BBC, Sky News, The Guardian, whatever. They'll say, yeah, but Ben, correlation isn't causation. Okay, fair enough. But let me tell you, when you deport over 1 million illegals in a single year, 2.4 million leaving in total, focusing on the criminals, the gang members, the ones with rap sheets longer than our list of recent prime ministers, what do you expect is going to happen? The Department of Homeland Security here in the United States, basically their version of the Home Office, they're not mincing their words. 70% of ICE arrests are targeting convicted felons or those charged with serious crimes. Officer deaths are down 25%. Traffic fatalities dropping as well. And even overdose deaths are plummeting by 34%. This isn't rocket science. It's common sense. Get the bad guys out and suddenly our streets are safe again, or at least getting safer. But there's more, because this isn't just about locking up the criminals and the bad guys. It's also about unlocking opportunity for everyday Americans. And we could have it too in the UK if we get a bit of common sense about us. Because in America, housing costs are cratering as well. They're plummeting in the very cities hit hardest by the migrant surge. The White House pumped this out last night. Here's the picture. I've got the data right here from Pew Research on the top 20 metro areas with the highest illegal migrant populations. So take a look. In Austin, Texas, down 7.3%. San Diego, California, down 6.7%. San Jose, Washington, D.C., Miami, all seeing medium homeless prices fall like autumn leaves. And even in liberal strongholds like Los Angeles and Houston, prices are dipping by nearly 3%. And you know what? In sanctuary cities such as Chicago, Seattle, where they've been slower to enforce immigration removals, well, prices are either flatlining or ticking up slightly. Coincidence? I think not. It's glaringly obvious to anyone with a brain that when you flood a market with extra demand from millions and millions of people who shouldn't be here in the first place, prices are going to skyrocket. Families get priced out, rents go through the roof, and the American dream turns into an American nightmare, which is why it always makes me laugh when I hear back home in the UK, ultra-liberal millennials at the likes of university camps and so on, calling for open borders, yet the next day crying and complaining that they can't afford rent or to buy a house. Obviously, yes, successive governments in the UK haven't been building enough homes. We all get that, we accept that. But you don't fix that problem by welcoming in millions more people like fuel to a fire. It just doesn't work. And of course, the naysayers are out in force. You've got the likes of American think tanks at the American Immigration Council whining about family separations and supposed economic chaos as well. Yeah, but deporting 8 to 10 million will shrink GDP, they cry. Rubbish. Latest GDP figures show America clocked more than 4% growth in the third quarter last year. Let me repeat that. More than 4% growth in the third quarter last year. And even more is expected for the fourth quarter when figures are released imminently. Can you imagine back home in the UK, Rachel Reeves standing up to make an announcement to say the UK has more than 4% growth? Yeah, right, she wishes. Undocumented workers, let's just call them for what they are. They're illegals, they're illegal migrants. They might fill jobs, but at what cost? Well, the cost is depressed wages, strained schools, overwhelmed hospitals, and studies show they commit crimes at rates that burden communities as well. Critics will say, and I've seen this online, that crime was already falling under Joe Biden. Okay, sure, a bit from pandemic peaks, but nothing like this explosion of safety in 2025. Let me give you a real world example. Let's take Memphis, Tennessee. Murders below 200 for the first time since 2019. Shootings down 40%. Or Washington, D.C., where carjackings are down 68%. These aren't just stats, by the way. These are lives saved, families intact. And housing, well, in Austin, that 7.3% drop means a median home that was $500,000 last year is now under $465,000 this year. That's a down payment's worth of savings for a young couple starting out. This is what winning looks like. Get rid of the illegals, the people who aren't meant to be here, and things, for the most part, start getting better. But here's my opinion, straight up. This is the USA Americans were promised. For too long, politicians pandered to the globalists, the Open Borders Brigade, letting borders become civs, while citizens who work hard to feed their families foot the bill. President Trump said he'd fix it, and he is. Mass deportations are dubbed cruel, which is debatable, maybe sometimes, but for sure, they're compassionate to the victims of crime each and every time, to the taxpayers squeezed dry, and to the kids who deserve safe streets and safe schools. So, in closing, for me, this is a watershed moment. The US government's own data screams success, safer streets, cheaper homes, a better quality of life, rebounding like never before. And if you're cheering this on in America, and you want to see this in Britain too, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video. Let's keep the pressure on back in Blighty, because America First isn't just a slogan, it's a reality. It's taking shape now this side of the pond. And we, you in Britain, could be next. And by God, don't we deserve to be? Thank you for watching. I'm Ben Leo, and this was GB News Originals. As I've said, if you like today's content, please like and subscribe below. And don't forget to download the GB News app.